Welcome back, students. Sairam, we have already done with two operations, that is addition and subtraction, in our last class, correct? So today in part 8 we'll be doing the third operation, that is multiplication. Now, like how you have studied in addition and subtraction, that there were parts of addition and subtraction, that is in addition we have learned that the two numbers which are added are called as add-ins and the answer what you get is called as the sum. Same way in subtraction you have learned that the first number is called as the minuend, the second number which is subtracted from minuend is called as subtrahend, and the answer or the result what you get is called as the difference. Now the same way in multiplication, the first number to be multiplied is called as the multiplicand. The second number, here it is 2, is called as the multiplier. That means the number by which we multiply. And the answer, that is 30 here, is called as the product. So these things you have to keep in mind. The first number, that is the number to be multiplied, is called as the multiplicand. The second number, the number by which we multiply, is called as the multiplier, and the answer or the result after multiplying any two numbers is called as the product. Now in lower classes, children, you have already learned how to multiply a single digit and a two-digit number. Now in this slide you can see it is 325 multiplied by 6. Now here 5 6 is 30, 3 you have carried out to the tens place, 6 when you multiply it by 2 is 12, plus 3 gives you 15, 1 you will carry out in the hundreds place, 6 3s is 18 plus 1, that is 19. The same way you have already also learned how to multiply a two-digit number. Now here the number is 781 multiplied by 95. Here 5 ones are 5 when we start from the ones place. Okay. Now 5 multiplied by 8 will give you 40, where 4 you will carry out in the hundreds place. 5 7s are 35 plus 4 is 39. Now coming to the number in the tens place, the number in the tens place is 9 here. Now when you multiply this number by 1, that will give you 9. Now here since the number is in tens place, here either you can put a cross or you can put a 0 in the ones place. 9 ones are 9, 9 8s are 72. So this you have already finished with, either you can cancel it or you can write it on top 7. 7 9s are 63 plus 7, that will give you 70. Now these two numbers you will add. So 5 plus 0 is 5, 0 plus 9 is 9, 9 plus 2 is 11, 1 carry over, 3 plus 1 is 4 and this 7. So multiplying single digit number and a two-digit number you have already multiplied. Now before we start with the multiplication of a 3-digit, 4-digit number, let us learn some properties of multiplication. Now properties of addition we have already done while doing addition sums, correct? Now same way you also have properties of multiplication. Now what are the properties of multiplication? The first property is commutative property. Now what do you mean by commutative property? Now the same property we have also learned in addition. Now in multiplication, now suppose if I give an example here, suppose if I write 3 multiplied by 7 is 21. Now the same number, if I change the order of the numbers, if I write it as 7 multiplied by 3, you will get the same answer, that is 21. So commutative property is two numbers can be multiplied in any order. Their product will remain the same. Now here in the example I have given, that is 68,753 multiplied by 3,125. Now if I change the order and if I write 3,125 first and then the 68,753, the product or the answer after multiplying the number will not change. It will remain the same. That is called as commutative property. Now coming to the second property, that is associative property. Now what do you mean by associative property? Now three numbers can be grouped in any order and then multiplied. Now suppose if I take a number as, I'll give you an example. If I write it as 3 multiplied by 7 and then if I multiply it by 4, my answer will be 3 7s are 21. 21 into 4 is 84. Now the same number, if I write it in this order, 3 into 4 and then if I multiply it by 7, 12 into 7, that is 84. The answer or the product of the number does not change if I group it in any order. So that is called as associative property. If there are three numbers, you can multiply any two number first and then multiply with the third number. Any order you can group it, the answer will remain the same or the product will remain the same. Now coming to the third property, that is distributive property. Now what is distributive property? It is the product of a number and a sum is equal to the sum of the individual products of the addends and the number. Now here suppose, let me give you an example. Suppose if I take a number as 4 multiplied by 3 plus 6. That means I'll multiply this 4 into 3, that is 12, plus 4 into 6, that is 24. And if I add these two addends, my answer will be 36. Now the same thing, that is called as distributive property. Now here I have given you the example 8,290 multiplied by 584 plus 96. So what I'll do is, I'll first multiply 8,290 multiplied by the first number and then multiply it by the second number. And then I will add both the answers. So it is said that the product of a number and a sum is equal to the sum of the individual products, that is, and then you add it of the addends and the number. Now this property is not only applicable to two addends, it can also be more than two addends. Now here in this example there are three addends, okay, in the bracket. So what you will do is, this number 684, first you will multiply it by 729, that is 684 multiplied by 729. Then you will take the second number 684 multiplied by 156. Coming to the third number 684 multiplied by 320. And when you add it, or you can also do it in this way, first add all the numbers in the brackets and then multiply it by 684. Your answer will remain the same. Either you first multiply this number by all the three numbers and then add it, or you first add all the numbers in the bracket first and then multiply. Your answer will remain the same. That is called as distributive property. Now coming to the fourth property, that is property of 0. Here it says that the product of a number and 0 is always 0. Now suppose if you multiply any number, let it be a 1-digit number, 2-digit, 3-digit, 4-digit, 5-digit, any big number, if you multiply any number by 0, your answer will always be 0. However big your number is, if you multiply any number by 0, your answer should always be 0. That is what the property says, that is the product of a number and 0 is always 0. So coming to the last property, that is identity property, where it says that the product of a number and 1 is the number itself. So that means any number, if you multiply it by 1, the answer will be the number itself. Suppose 6 into 1 is 6, 8 into 1 is 8. So however big the number is, if you multiply any number by 1, it will be the number itself. And here the 1 is called as the multiplicative identity. So what is identity property? That means any number, if you multiply it by 1, the answer will be the number itself. So today we have learned the properties of multiplication. That is, let us first revise again all the properties. The first one is commutative property, where it tells us that if you change the order of any two numbers, the product will remain the same. The second is called as the associative property, where three numbers can be grouped in any order and then multiplied, the answer will remain the same. The third property, that is distributive property, tells us that the product of a number and the sum is equal to the sum of the individual products of the addends and the number. Here either you take the number in the brackets, whichever the number is there in the brackets, you first add it and then multiply by the number, or multiply each number by the first number and then you add it, the answer will remain the same. Coming to the fourth property, that is property of 0, which tells us that the product of a number and 0 is always 0. Identity property, which tells us that any number, if you multiply it by 1, it will remain the same, that is the number itself. So children, revise all the properties and answer the worksheets. So thank you for today. We'll meet again in the next class. Bye.